Hello. Nice guy. Gotta eat my. I'm eating a little nut bar. It's a nice morning. Not cold. And as you know, hopefully, hopefully you have listened to my videos before. Then you can have the follow-up. The follow-up from last time. That embodied language just keeps on going. Yeah. That's the follow-up. And what's so beautiful about it is that embodied language, it truly is the gift that keeps on giving. Yeah. And yeah, you may not believe it. Oh, okay. You don't have to. I believe it, or I don't believe it. I'm having it. You see, if you have it, you don't need to believe anything. And if you know you can have it, that knowledge is not a belief. So I'm having it, and even when I'm not having it, I know I can. So I talked with my wife about what happened yesterday in the park, about my eyes all of a sudden being so teary-eyed, and that must, according to her, definitely have been because of the pollen in the air. Yeah. Oh, I was talking Dutch on that video. That's right. I was talking in Dutch. I was talking in Dutch about about my old language. Yeah, it's funny how I have two languages, and it's also interesting how a second language is making a possibility available, which in my case, and it might probably be similar to other people, but in my case, look at that. Morning. In my case, I experienced that my English language, it gave me more control. It gave me more rationality. It gave me more the ability to reason. And of course, I've moved away from the Netherlands, and so now I've been living in the United States for more than 25 years, and I've never been back. So yeah, that goes together with speaking English. And it's funny, there's not a day that goes by in which people ask me, "Oh, you sound like you have an accent." Yeah, I have an accent. I have an accent. I come from the Netherlands originally. And that's how I come to talk like this. And yeah, I don't have to try to sound American. I can, I guess, do that a little bit, but I'm not trying to sound like anything. You see, that is the crux of embodied language. You're not trying to sound friendly or patient or kind or in control. No. You sound exactly the way you sound in any given moment. And that is your embodied language. If you're trying to sound a certain way, if you're manipulating your voice, let's say, for instance, I start talking like this, okay? Now, oh, look what a beautiful sky. Yeah, of course I can talk like this, yeah? I can talk like this. But that would be an acted voice. And yeah, I can also talk like this. Yeah, you hear me? I'm so kind. I'm so friendly. Oh yeah. Oh, that is so nice. No, that is also not real. No. So when you have embodied language, you just sound real. And yeah, there is reality. You are real. At any given moment, you are experiencing what you are experiencing. So if I, at this moment, would be, let's say, for instance, I've slept very well last night. So I sound rested, I would assume. And if I have not slept at all, if I am really tired, I might sound something like this. Oh my God, I'm so tired. I don't want to do anything. You know, I sound like I'm dragging my heels, right? Okay, I'm not sounding like that at all. I'm not dragging my heels. I'm alive. I feel awake. I'm happy. I look forward to the day. Look at the beautiful sky. Oh man. We're gonna let the sun come up again. No, we're not doing anything, but we're gonna experience that together. Okay. And as the sun is going to come over the hills in the distance, I will keep you company, and I'll talk a little bit more about embodied language. But yeah, no, the pollen in the air were really affecting me yesterday. My goodness, my eyes were all of a sudden crying. And I was blinking my eyes and blinking to hopefully let it go away. And it took quite a while before it went away, but finally it went away. I knew it would, because it came on all of a sudden and then at some point it was gone again. So I might have been near a tree that was just releasing its powder or something like that. Anyway, I noticed on my video that I made of it, and like I said, I spoke in Dutch, but I noticed that I was also, just before it happened, I was all of a sudden scraping my throat. Something like that. And so my throat also perceived it, apparently, that something was in the air. In any case, that is another good lead-in to illustrate, just in a very straightforward way, how I, as an organism, am affected by the environment. And what is this environment here right now? Do you see where I am? Do you see? There's nobody here with me. I'm just by myself, and I am doing my thing, so to speak. I enjoy myself. I enjoy this bike ride. I enjoy talking. I enjoy being outside. I enjoy where I am. I'm enjoying who I am. There's no threat of any kind. Nothing is distracting me. Well, that's a wonderful environment, right? That is a wonderful environment. An environment that enhances me, because look at this. That wonderful green field. I like it. That enhances me. And here, these young rose bushes, they are starting to bloom again, or starting to grow again. They cut them all the way back, just like I do in my own yard. And when you cut them all the way back, actually they come back so nicely. And so everything in this environment that I am experiencing, or almost everything, is positive, is enjoyable, is pleasant, and the weather is good. If it was really cold, it might have even been a challenge, and yet I would still take the challenge, because being outside in spite of it being cold would be also some little adversary circumstance, and yet I wouldn't mind having to endure that, because the benefits outweigh the negative aspects of that cold environment. And of course, especially when I'm smart, and when I'm using my gloves to protect myself from the cold, then I'm a little protected. That would even be better. So there are very positive circumstances right now. Here, like this, for instance. Look at this. These. I love these bushes, these grasses. I'm having those in my garden as well. And so these are. What is it? Here, these ones. I have those as well. Anyways, it's nice that I can recognize those, and it's nice that I can acknowledge that I feel so positively affected by my new bicycle, by the fact that I do not have to wear a coat today, that it is nice and warm, or not really warm, but just warm enough, that I've slept well, that I had 2 days off. Yes, that is kind of exceptional. So that was nice. And that I just want to use this as an illustration of how I am in this environment, of how I am responding to this environment, because I have made this trip a couple of times, and I kind of know what the deal is. And so it is a wonderful continuation and an elaboration of what has already been, and what continues and what expands and what has become very solidified, very clear, very crystallized, and which I now call my ongoing embodied language, or my language enlightenment. Yeah. And how different all of that would be from being affected by disembodied language, because we create and maintain our own environment with our language. So if I would have disembodied language, then I would be talking, but I would not be listening to myself. And a person who does that, such a person is not in touch with him or herself, and such a person is constantly experiencing negative things, stress, anxiety, fear, frustration, something that you would like to happen isn't happening. You're not having your needs met in disembodied language. You're not listening to yourself. So how can you meet your own needs if you do not listen to yourself? And listening to yourself, of course, involves talking with yourself. How can you listen to yourself if you don't talk with yourself? So, but I'm doing all that. I'm talking with myself and I'm listening to myself. But the person who doesn't do that, they unknowingly have disembodied language, and they, with their disembodied language, keep having all the things that go together with their negative experiences, their fears, their stress, their worry, their argument, their fight, their conflict, their distractions, their hang-ups, their addictions, their illnesses, their failures. They don't feel this happiness of just being here. They cannot just be where they are and be at ease. No, they're always trying to be somewhere where they're not. And they always want something else than what is happening. And the person with disembodied language is in conflict with him or herself and with others, and is trying to, of course, also win that conflict, or is trying to get away from that conflict, is trying to reduce that conflict. And I'm not doing any of these things. I'm not reducing any conflict. I'm not trying to get away from any conflict. I'm not having any conflict. Do you see? So their escapism or their avoidance behavior, which is of course a denial of reality, because the reality still follows them in spite of all their actions. They basically stick their heads in the sand with disembodied language, pretending that they can just watch hours of TV, or I don't know, be on social media, or do whatever it is that they do distracting things, and supposedly then have some amusement or have some entertainment or whatever. They have something to occupy themselves with, to be busy with, but they don't talk with themselves. They cannot listen to themselves. They cannot create what I am creating here. They cannot do what I'm doing. They cannot. It is unavailable to them, what I'm doing. And it will remain that way until they begin to also talk with themselves and listen to themselves, of course, and with their speech, with their language, address what's going on. How can it be otherwise? And so So whether you are having embodied language or disembodied language, you always create your own environment with your language. And if you were to do what I'm telling you, then you would notice to your surprise that you hear very often, when you talk with yourself, you hear very often a sound that you don't like. You often say all sorts of things to yourself which you don't want. When you begin to talk with yourself, you realize what a mess your life is, what a stress your life is, what a frustration your life is, what an unfulfilled life you're living. And if you keep doing what I'm telling you to do, if you keep talking, if you keep speaking about this with yourself, you can't miss the fact that you are saying all this to yourself. You are talking with yourself about your misery, You are talking with yourself about, I don't know, missed chances, failures, frustrations, about, I don't know, things that do not work out, things that are not good, things that you hate, or things that you feel troubled by, and sounds all negative, and you don't like it, but yet you keep talking about it, and you keep doing what I tell you to do, you keep listening to it. There comes a point, if you really do it, and that point can come really quickly if you truly take yourself serious. There comes a point where you suddenly realize, like, why am I saying all these negative things? Why am I experiencing all this stuff that I don't want to experience? Why am I going through all of this? Why am I so distracted? Why am I so preoccupied? Why am I so carried away? Why? And you may ask yourself that question, or you may just simply say, I don't like it. I don't want that. I'm tired of that. I have lived like this, but I don't want to live like that. Okay. Now you hear a different sound. You are now beginning to regulate yourself. You're beginning to tell yourself, what it is that you want, what it is that you need to change, what it is that you need to stop, what it is that you want instead of what you have. And you're not doing this in a way of repressing or diminishing the negativity that you have just mentioned. No, you have covered that. You have heard that. So you've heard what you sound like when you sound dreadful. You've heard what you sound like when you are dissatisfied. You've heard all that. And you're kind of done with it. You kind of become ready to sort of say, like, well, how about a little lightheartedness or something like that? Or how about a little happiness for a change? How about something that lifts your spirit, so to speak? How about something that sort of make your life better? How about that? Yeah. Okay. And these are just questions you can ask, but you can also just say, like, well, if I would say what makes me happy, then I would have consequences that then I would experience something that is a little positive. Okay, well, what is a little positive? Well, let's say, for instance, I don't know. I'm just giving a weird example here, but let's say, for instance, Yeah, you are. Let's say, for instance, you have planned a little vacation or something. Let's just assume that you have done that, and but yeah, you have little money, and but nevertheless, you have planned that vacation, and maybe right now you're maybe having some stress or some whatever, you kind of feel like maybe you have to work too hard or something like that. You have a little moment of that you wish that you didn't have to work so hard. But once you start talking about your upcoming little vacation, you suddenly feel like, yeah, that is something to look forward to. And that is something that makes me happy. And lo and behold, you begin to talk about that and you sound happy. You hear yourself being happier. And that is so nice, because that sounds so different from what you were saying before. And so it is possible for you to bring your attention to something positive. And anybody has positive things, there's always something positive to bring your attention to. But if you don't do it, yeah, you keep being busy with all sorts of negative things, and then you have the outcome of that. All right, well, if you would change from having disembodied language in which you do not listen to yourself to having embodied language, to listening to yourself, you would do yourself an enormous favor. You cannot begin to imagine what it is like to have ongoing embodied language. I'm having ongoing embodied language, and it is just so beautiful, so pleasant, so, yeah. So ongoing, interesting, ongoing, nourishing, sustaining. Yeah. It is something so essential. Yeah. Really. It is so essential that you have your own language. And that hearing your voice hearing the sound of your own happiness while you speak, while you talk with yourself. That is such a wonderful thing. And you are listening to this, right? We, of course, can talk like this. This could be our conversation. This, in my opinion, should be our conversation. In my opinion, it should be. And I'm telling you, if you can't have this, I don't want to talk with you. And everybody can do this. And I am telling you, this is my prediction. I predict that we are all going to do this. What's that?
Did you see a skunk that way with something on it?
No, I didn't see
Okay, and I
anything.
wonder if it's down here.
Oh,
We just had a biker say, be careful, there's a skunk down
oh yeah, you don't want that to cross your path. Yeah. There's a skunk sighting. You know what a skunk is, right? A skunk is a stinky animal, black and white. I one time had an encounter with a skunk, and I walked on a path, and all of a sudden there's this little skunk standing there in the middle of the path, and it was a small path, so there was no way for me to pass him, or I had to back off because I just said, oh my god, the skunk is not going out of the way. Yeah, I mean, you know, usually they're kind of afraid of people, but this one, oh, it just stood there defiantly, almost as if he was challenging me, like, don't you dare come closer or something like that, you know. So I said, okay, I'll step back, and I step back, and then I avoided the skunk, because if he sprays his what is it? They have some sort of liquid that they can spray out, and if they spray that on you, oh my god, then you will stink so bad. You know, nobody wants that. And that's what these people were freaked out about. Oh, skunk, yeah. Well, you better be careful. So, what else shall we speak about? Well, as you can tell, I've said a lot, and I've covered a lot of ground, and that naturally results then also in an understanding, or a state of being, I should say, in which you can just embellish the benefits of embodied language. And I would say that is your language enlightenment. And oh, I was just about to tell you that I predict that we are all going to have embodied language. Yeah, I want to let you know about that, because everybody wants this unknowingly. We do not know that we want this, but we all want this unknowingly. And we cannot get there with our disembodied language. Our disembodied language has to stop so that we can have this. So this, what I'm talking about, this replaces your disembodied language. Yeah? Your disembodied language is not going to improve or something. No. It's not going to be modified. No. Your disembodied language is just going to stop. And as you begin to have embodied language, there will be no more disembodied language for as long as you can keep going with embodied language. Yeah. So, but this is an important point to be understood. You know, a plant, yeah, and we are looking here at bushes, and we're looking at trees. Yeah, this is the path I'm on. A plant or a tree it needs water, it needs ground to grow in, and a human being A human being needs language to make sense of their life. Yeah. We cannot make sense of our life without language. And those who say that they can make sense of their life by abandoning language, as people have done, of course, because they couldn't figure it out with their language, so they turned against language. They call that meditation. No, we, with our embodied language, we are not against language. We are actually getting into our language in such a way that we begin to use our language correctly, and that we fully recognize that we were, of course, using our language incorrectly. That is the message. That is the message of embodied language. The message of embodied language is that once you get to it, once you listen to yourself, you realize like, oh, this is what I had wanted. This is what I couldn't get to. This now I'm using my language correctly because I'm listening to myself. Yeah, of course. Yeah. Look how pretty this is. I just love this little scene. In the summer, I will be going there again and swimming. Yeah. But yeah, so once you get to it, you realize like, wow, this is what I was missing. And yeah, this is what I had unknowingly always wanted. And now I'm having it. Yeah. Yeah. So yes, I predict that embodied language is the language of mankind's future. That is a big prediction, but I predict it. Yeah. And I also predict, of course, that is the other side of this story, that disembodied language is on its way out. We also do not realize that disembodied language has run its course. Mankind has, things have happened in the world due to which human beings have arranged societies in such a way. We have arranged our societies in such a way in Western democratic countries that individuals could live their own lives more or less according to their own will, to their own choice. Yeah. And so we in Western countries are very fortunate that there is at least some individual freedom for us. And although this individual freedom hasn't resulted in a widespread understanding of embodied language, that understanding is of course inevitably going to happen. Because if it is possible, it's going to happen. And a lot of other things were also possible, very crazy things, and they have also happened to our own detriment. And now we can sort of look back and say, oh, that was all craziness. Craziness in the name of individualism. Yeah. But okay, we can come back from that and we can say like, no, that wasn't really helpful. That wasn't really making us happy. But when we come to our first experiences of our embodied language, it is undeniable that this is good, this is wholesome, this is meaningful, this is beneficial. And when we get this right, when we get it right, what it is to have embodied language, we can have it together. That is incredible. What becomes possible when we have embodied language together. That is fantastic. So, I am convinced that this is the future of mankind, and in that case also I should say Western civilization, in which there is individual freedom, unlike other countries. Western civilization is where embodied language has emerged, and that is a wonderful thing. And so we are all going to be benefited from that. Good morning. And ultimately, the whole world is going to be able to acknowledge that each human being, I'm linking this back again to my earlier illustration of how I was affected by the pollen, by the powder of the trees in my eyes, and my description of the environment, how the environment affects us, and how we all create our own environment and then live in our own environment with our language. Each human being is an organism. Each human being is an organism on their own. And each human being, in one way or another, uses language. And each human being, if they talk, has a sound. And each human being can, while they speak with themselves, produce the sound which they like to hear. So, when we are talking about embodied language, we are really, truly talking about a universal mechanism. All human beings who are happy sound a certain way. All human beings who are stressed, worried, frustrated, upset, distracted, confused, they sound another way. And those are the differences between our embodied language and our disembodied language. So we are talking about the reality that, unbeknownst to us, because I know it is still not known, but unbeknownst to us, there is in every language the possibility to have embodied language. And yet, until now, we have only been conditioned by and involved in disembodied language. So there's going to be an enormous change once we begin to experience together and have shared embodied language. Here's Horseshoe Lake. This is where I'm going to speak my last words on this video. Wow, it's been a really good ride. Just gotta sniff my nose here for a second. So nice and so still.